been looking at brokerage report after brokerage report, and the view of analysts is that they will look at re-rating the stock if the company clarifies what its position is with regards to subsidiaries and investing in subsidiaries. Case in point being what you intend to do with your two-wheeler business. And I'm just quoting from one of the brokerage reports which say that two-wheeler subsidiary losses have widened further and the continued need of equity support in this category is a cause for concern. What do you intend doing as far as the two-wheeler business is concerned?
Again, one has to see, am I taking a quarter-to-quarter view or a 5-year view? Okay, if I take a quarter-to-quarter view, many of the subsidiaries are loss-making subsidiaries, and one would question why we have it. But Mahindra Group is where it is today because we have taken long-term calls. If we had not invested heavily into Mahindra Finance, into Club Mahindra, into Tech Mahindra, when they were not making money or not doing well, we wouldn't have $8 to $10 billion of market cap that these companies have created for us today. We are in 3 or 4 such businesses today, which are loss-making businesses: Mahindra Retail, Mahindra Two-Wheeler, the Truck and Bus, the Mahindra Reva. And each one of these have a potential for us to become a mainstay for us, to create significant market cap for our investors 3 years, 5 years, 7 years from now. Some of these may not succeed, some of these would succeed. So we are betting on 4 or 5 things.
How long and what kind of patience level do you have as far as some of these subsidiaries are concerned?
We have much longer patience than perhaps what the stock market would like us to have because we do believe in each of these. I can talk about Truck and Bus, for example. Right now the market is beginning to turn around now. We see 18% growth that has happened in heavy commercial vehicle. We have grown more than 100%, though on a very small base. And this is an industry which traditionally has been a very profitable industry, though in the last 2 or 3 years the fortunes have been down for everyone. So if that industry turns around, it can easily get us into a positive territory.
We'll continue to invest.
We will continue to invest in two-wheeler. It has recently been transferred to what we call AFS business, and clearly that's an indication that we are not giving up on two-wheelers. So that same thing applies there. And Mahindra Reva, as I've said, that it is something that we are quite dedicated to, not just in terms of P&L. That's not a profit and loss, a top line, bottom line investment. That's more of an investment where we believe that India needs to have India needs to have the technology. We will put money behind it, and we would hope that someday our sort of desire to do well in the technology in this country will be aligned with the overall approach that we have.
Just on the two-wheeler side, you said that you're looking at launching a scooter and you're also looking at more launches in the motorcycle segment. When can we expect these launches?
The scooter will happen very soon. We will have it in this calendar year. We'll have it in this calendar year. We also hope to launch before the end of this financial year sort of our premium two-wheeler. That is Mojo that we have talked about in the past. So that's a small volume, but that will happen. We are looking at some sort of higher horsepower or higher CC bikes also. But the mainstream will be the motorcycle, the Centuro, and the scooter, which will be launching in this calendar year.
Okay. What about SsangYong? Because the operating performance of SsangYong has improved. By when do you hope to break even as far as the SsangYong business?
Well, SsangYong is doing well in terms of the turnaround that has started in an auto company which was in fairly difficult times when we took over. It takes 3 to 4 years to start seeing results. In fact, so far, the product that got initiated after we took over has not even been launched because it's a 3.5-year cycle, and we expect to launch the first product, the X100, in January 2015, so less than 6 months from now. And we are very, very optimistic on that product because when I look at I've driven the product about a month ago, and I'm really excited about what the engineers have been able to do in terms of the overall design. Of course, is attractive. The features that have come in, the fit and finish, the Korean quality is very much there in that product. So we are very excited about that. So if I put it all together, given the volume growth that's happening, given the new product launch that's happening, I think that we would start seeing a Chedin not very far from now.
Is concerned, but you had revised downwards your sales target from 160 to 150,000.
Because of primarily Russia market. which is
where the trouble continues.
I'm sorry.
Where the trouble continues.
Where the trouble continues. Russia is the biggest overseas market for SsangYong, and since Russia has slowed down, that had forced us to revise our volume forecast for the year downwards. But China is coming up quite well for us, and we think that perhaps in a year or two, China will compensate for drop in Russia, and I think. The new product will certainly make a huge difference, but that will be the big bang thing that will happen after the minor acquisition of SsangYong.
Okay, so break even for SsangYong?
Break even is hard to talk about. As you perhaps know, that in Korea we also had a recent change in the law, labor wage law, which has put extra burden on the company, all companies, not just SsangYong. Tremendous burden in terms of the overall wage cost, which will delay undoubtedly the sort of break even by some time.
Okay.
But I don't want to be talking about when that might happen. We almost had a break even last year. I think we were off.
So has it been pushed back by a year or two, or?
Hard to say. Hard to say. It depends on how much of the wage bill can be compensated by increase in prices. So that is yet to be seen. In fact, only 2 companies have yet settled their wage agreement after the Supreme Court ruling. 3 companies are still working on it, and after the dust settles, then we'll have to see how much of it can be recouped and how much of it remains as extra burden on the company.
What about tractor volumes? Given the fact that we've actually seen a poor monsoon, and now, of course, there's a flood-like situation in a lot of parts of the country, what is the outlook as far as tractor volumes are concerned? And do you believe that you are going to have to revise downwards your earlier guidance, which went from 8 to 5? Do you believe that you will be able to hold 5?
So let me first say that in the tractor business, I'm quite comfortable in the way we are performing within the industry. We have had about 0.7-0.8% market share gain this year up to August in 5 months, which is a good gain. In tractor industry, market shares don't swing up and down that wildly. So we are doing well. We have just launched our Arjun Novo, the new tractor, which is in the higher horsepower range, which has been received very well. So I think that will give us even further momentum within the industry. But clearly we cannot perform outside the industry growth, and industry has been somewhat of a disappointment from what we had thought at the beginning of the year, when, as you said, that we had estimated 8 to 10% growth, and we were quite confident that something like that would happen, which we had to downward revise 5 to 7%. And frankly, right now the industry is at minus 2.5% as in August, and therefore to get 5 to 7%, it has to grow almost at about 8-9% for the rest of the year. Festive season is looking good, so any further call on changing this estimate we will take after the festive season, after Diwali, on depending on what happens in this festive season. September, October, if we get 8 to 10% growth, then we'll be on our way to 5 to 7. If we don't get 8 to 10% growth in September, October, then 5 to 7 will not be possible.
Okay. You know, if we look at what's happening with Tata Motors, the domestic business, not much is really going on, and it hasn't been for a very long time, and JLR seems to be the engine of growth, so to speak. There was a lot of talk about whether you were looking at Saab and whether that was something that you would take forward or not. But is an acquisition, I mean, you've done SsangYong, but is another global acquisition a part of your strategy for growth at this point in time?
Global acquisition is something that we continue to remain interested in, but we do not have a specific target that we must do something in next 2 years or next 18 months. If a good opportunity comes our way, we will take a look at it, but we are not going to go after. We are not going to go after anything which does not make rational sense for us. We have been reasonably cautious in any acquisition, and again, if you look at the track record, any acquisition that we have done of good size has paid good dividend to us, whether it is Satyam, or whether it is Punjab Tractor or SsangYong. Each one of them have paid good dividend because we are perhaps careful in what we take on. At any given point of time, there will be 2 or 3 dialogues happening, and any dialogue leads to a rumor or speculation. I cannot obviously confirm anything on that.
But is anything on the radar at this point?
We are always talking. We are always talking, and it's interesting for me to see that if I meet somebody, then the next day headline is that we are going to acquire such and such. So that it doesn't work that way.
But would that be for the core business, the SUV business?
I think our
you may look at it for some of your distressed businesses, the distressed subsidiaries, so to speak.
Acquisition does not have to be in the core business, but we're not going to go after something that is off limit for us. So we're not going to do any acquisition for getting into a segment that we are not in.
Right.
But a right opportunity may come into a segment which is not our mainstream, and if that opportunity comes, we'll take a look at it. Fortunately, we do not have any constraint right now, financial constraint right now, on not being able to do large acquisitions, and we will do what makes sense. We are in dialogue, but nothing that's sort of about to happen around the corner.
But you are in dialogue with one player or several players?
Always.
So let me ask you this, on the back of the fact that you believe that the general mood in the economy is beginning to improve, sales are beginning to improve, you've got a bunch of new launches lined up. What kind of recouping in the market share do you anticipate? You're now down to about 40%. How much do you believe that you can move up back by?
What I have said is that with the kind of competitiveness that we see in the UV segment, for the market leader to be 40% plus is a good market share to have. In fact, right now we are slightly lower than 40%. So what would be a good market share? I mean, for me to think that we'll get back to 55-60% is wishful thinking. That cannot happen in this kind of competitive scenario that we have today. In fact, if you go back just even 3 or 4 years ago, there were only 3 players. Tata, Mahindra, 4. Tata, Mahindra, GM and Toyota. Now there are 9 or 10 players. So in that scenario, it's like a passenger car segment now, where there are 15 players and nobody can have 60% market share. So that won't happen. A very good market share for us to be in mid-40s, a good market share for us to be above 40 is what we would target.
So how much of that do you believe you will be able to recoup next year, next financial year?
If the 2 products are successful, next year we'll recoup. Because if you look at what's happening in the UV segment, in fact in the whole automotive segment, it's one product that's making a difference. Any company that's doing well today, it's doing on the strength of the latest launch. The latest launch has succeeded, you are on top. If it's not succeeded, you are somewhere.
What are you most worried about, Indian competition or multinational competition?
I think now we have moved beyond, our industry has moved beyond the point of thinking about Indian and multinational competition. Competition is competition, and there is no segment where we can say it's an Indian car or a multinational car in the sense.
But just, I mean, Maruti and the advantage of scale, the economies of scale, and just the ability to be able to absorb, if they want to competitively price, that kind of pressure.
Mahindra is not far behind in that. If you look at, in spite of everything that we have talked about, the profitability is the highest for Mahindra, even today. The first quarter we were, amongst the published results, I do not know about unpublished ones, and I think even unpublished ones, we are the farthest ahead in 4-wheeler segment. So our ability to price, if we want to, competitively, is not
and not at the cost of profitability, you're saying?
If we want to. If we want to. So since we have a good profit margin to play with, if we need to, we can do it, but we have refrained from it. So far, in the first 3 or 4 months of the year, you would see that if you go and try and buy a car, you would, even though you might see headlines of so much discount, but we have not played the game too rationally.
Dr. Goenka, always a pleasure speaking with you. We wish you the very best of luck, and thank you so much for speaking to us here on CNBC TV.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. With that, it's time for us to wrap up the special edition of The Appointment. We'll see you again next week. Till then, from the entire team, goodbye and many thanks for watching.